I'm going to won't take a lot of time today, but basically I'm going to talk a little bit about the past, the present, and the future. And it won't be too much, but I've picked out the past is 2013 General Assembly session. The present is a couple of things that are going on right now that you all, I'm sure, are aware of. And the future is my expectations for the 2014 legislative session. So probably the biggest piece of legislation that came out of the 2013 session was the pension reform, state pension reform. Like any good legislation, it pleased a lot and it displeased a lot. I happen to believe it's not the answer to solving the pension crisis in Kentucky, but it is a positive step forward. We put some things in there that required us to look at it about every 5 years or sooner, instead of waiting like we have now in the past many years until it balloons beyond our control. We did change the plan for new employees beginning January 2014 to what we believe is a way that will help stabilize it in the long run. So that was probably the biggest piece of legislation. It wasn't enacted until the last night because there were lots of negotiations and disagreements and compromising going on. Another big one that I spent a lot of time on was the hemp bill. And hemp is not, let me say this, it's not legal to grow hemp in Kentucky, okay? However, we did pass a law that sets the framework for growing hemp in Kentucky should it become legal federally. Now, as of yesterday's news, I understand there was an amendment that was put on the 2013 Farm Bill in the House, which did pass by a vote of 216 to 208. The elephant in the room being that food stamps were left out of the Farm Bill to be taken up later. But as to hemp, there was an amendment that allows universities to grow it for research. The chances of that House bill getting through the Senate and signed by the President depends on who you ask. Most people would say slim. Some would say none. But there was an amendment put on, which is a step forward, and I agree with Commissioner Comer that it is a positive step forward. I've said this many times, I am in support of allowing farmers to grow hemp, but I don't want to break any federal rules. I want to play by the rules that the Fed set. So that's still in the news. You're probably reading some about it, but I would be very surprised if there's any hemp planted in Kentucky next year. I know there won't be this year. We're having enough trouble getting soybeans out, right, Joe? So, and again, just to summarize the hemp issue, one of my goals is that we don't get so passionately involved with that we forget about agriculture. By my estimation, and I did considerable research over the winter, it could have an impact potentially of 2%. We do $5 billion in agriculture sales a year, so 2% of that is some. It would help some, but let's not break the bank worrying about hemp, okay? Another piece of legislation that was significant during the 2013 session was the school dropout bill. Most of you are familiar with that. Essentially, summarily, raises the dropout age from 16 to 18. Does it over a period of time. In the bill, it said that 55% of the school districts in Kentucky had to approve it. Once that happened, then all districts are bound to implement the law. They have about 4 years to implement it. Now I'm an advocate of raising the dropout age. And I know there's an argument that there's going to be a lot of trouble, they're going to cost more money, it's going to make it hard on teachers. To me, the obligation we have to stick with our young people and persevere with them and do everything within our power to make sure that they not only become productive citizens, but that they stay out of jail, that they stay off welfare. We're obligated to do that, to me. So in the end, I came down very much in favor of the bill. But I understand the different thought processes on it, though. Now, I'm happy, more than happy to report that every school district that I represent did pass the bill. Did adopt the rules. 96 school districts had to do it. That's 55% of the school districts in Kentucky. And I'm proud to stand before you, and I know Talora is too, and say that Marion County was one of those 96 that jumped on this bandwagon. And they even get a little cash for it, $10,000 to help implement it. It was cash, bribe, what would you call it, Talora? But anyway, we did get the 96 school districts that approve it, and again, I'm so proud that Marion County was one of those on the forefront of that. That's about all from the 2013 session that I intend to tell you about. Hopefully we'll have a few minutes to take some questions if you have particulars you'd like to ask me. Let me talk about the present. Redistricting. A lot of people are asking about redistricting. The governor has called, as many of you know, a special session that begins on August 19th. And the call of the special session, so you can only deal with what he says you're going to deal with during a special session, and the call is strictly redistricting. No other, unless that changes between now and then. So I do expect that after that week, we will redraw the districts in Kentucky, and the House and the Senate and the governor will all approve of it. I do also expect that there'll be a lot of fighting and fussing over it. And it's even possible that we can't get it done. But it would be shameful to me if we went up there, as so often quoted in the media, at $60,000 a day. By the way, you know what it costs for lobbyists per day of General Assembly session? It was over $5 million for a 30-day session. That's $183,000 that lobbyists spend per day. So for both reasons, I don't like special sessions. But at the end of that week, I fully expect we'll have new lines drawn. And for me, now you'll have to ask Jimmy about the Senate plan, because to my knowledge, that's a secret. I haven't talked to anybody who has seen any proposals on that. But the House plan, we passed one this winter. And for me, for Marion County District 24, it changed from Marion, Casey, and Pulaski to Marion, Greene, and LaRue. And there's a longer story about why that is. That wouldn't be my ideal district to represent the 24th district. But it basically amounts to be in compliance with the Kentucky Constitution. That's the only thing that worked. So, I will gear up to go to 2 new counties and work my rear end off and try to get to know them and let them get to know me, so they can decide if they want to keep me also. So redistricting will be done, I believe, by the end of August. Hopefully we can get that done. It's shameful if we don't, to me. I will tell you, as to the cost, especially for media, which just about every media article starts out at a cost of $60,000 a day, the Speaker and the Senate President have got together and canceled all the other committee meetings. And see, we get paid when we have committee meetings. They've canceled all the other regular committee meetings in August, so that the cost of the special, see, we can do those committee meetings during that week while we're in Frankfort anyway. So that hopefully will offset most of the cost of a special session. I thought that was just a wonderful thing to do. We're there, and little guys like me, We spend a lot of time sitting around when the big guys are negotiating, so we can have our committee meetings and get the business and work done. So I thought that was a real neat idea, which I support. So redistricting is going on now.